A lot of people are going to be upset. You're going to be like, oh, why'd you cancel our match? Because we're not finishing that series, so we won't know how it ends, so I can't award the bets anyways. This is a brand new, fresh series with two actually really well-matched players. uThermal, of course, performed so incredibly well during the WCS EU qualifiers, and Tefel is a player I can't stop gushing over lately. So, while we did have a bit of an oddball first 3 games today, guys, we find ourselves finally in something a little bit more, I suppose, comforting, something we're a little more used to, and something that will be good. So spawning here in the bottom right corner of the map in this best of 3 for the Home Story Cup 9 European qualifiers, the Blue Zerg player Dignitas Tefel. And his opponent in the lower left, he is from AT Gaming, the Red Terran uThermal. uThermal's a player I stumbled upon a long time ago, back when he was on like Lowland Lions or something. I can never remember the team name, and I probably still can't right now, but he's come a long way. Again, during the WCS EU qualifiers, he impressed us a lot. He was one of the few players who actually managed to beat through the muck, and get through them all to go play. Now, I think he actually got knocked out of Premier already. Let me actually go Google that, check that real quick. Oh no, he actually won his Premier League match. Okay, I didn't get to watch that sadly because I know we were casting something that day, but apparently he beat Haswabs 3-1. I didn't even realize. So a little bit better than even I had considered in the first place. Regardless of that, guys, this will be a pretty good match. Tefel versus uThermal. Tefel's a really good player. uThermal has just been playing so much better lately than he ever has before. So, on one hand, you got a WCS EU Premier player, the other you got Tefel, who is, quite frankly, one of the few players who we can herald as the Korean killer. I don't award that title lightly when I talk about people, but he's one of the few players that can do it. So as far as the match actually ends up playing out here, by the way, I'm not sure what strategy Tefel's going to go for, but he has been in great success using a lot of Roach Hydra. He was even doing this before the Hydralists got their buff, and they've become even better since then. So uThermal's going to have a bit of a fun time dealing with that, I'd say. I say fun in air quotes, because even players like Jockshi have fallen to Tefel's Roach Hydra in the past. In tournament play, no less, too. Not just like some one random best-of-1 ladder match, but uThermal's going to send a Reaper out for the time being. He unfortunately does not know where his opponent spawned, but I think if he saw the Overlord, he should know go... Yeah, he'll go to the bottom right. Alright, so Command Center on the way. Going to play this out pretty standard as far as openings go for uThermal, but for Tefel, he doesn't have any Lings coming out. He's going to be trying to hold this off with just Queens. You can do this to an extent. A couple drones can be pulled, 2 Reapers are the most you can handle. If a third one comes across the map, which it's not, worth noting, he's left the second one at home actually in favor of the faster factory. But if that third one comes across the map, a player like Tefel decides to play a little bit quote-unquote greedy like this, ends up really paying the price. But by leaving that second Reaper at home, he also guarantees no sneaky Lings will come and kill the SV, cancel the Command Center, and buy himself a lot of time. So I like this move. It's silly. Zombie Grub is a lot more favorited towards the Marines, which I gotta be honest, I'm kind of more inclined to lean towards as well, but you're gonna want that second Reaper anyways. The idea is, of course, you pair it up with the Hellions, it becomes a lot better, a lot stronger, and that push to follow through ends up just hitting way harder. But there's one Reaper for now. I'm going to poke towards the natural. Oof, this is going to be an unfortunate trap between almost 3 Queens. uThermal's going to need to keep this alive, of course, for scouting. Again, like most Zerg players, you can kind of predict how they're going to play. Like, for example, you go up against Hyun. If you don't scout the all-in, the chances are it's not going to be anything other than Mutalisks, Banelings, and such. But someone like Tefel, you really, again, you have to scout what tech path he's going. He's one of the few that play kind of every style of Zerg, except Swarmos, crazy enough. He does play Swarmos, I should say, but it's not his go-to. Not against the Terran player who doesn't play mech anyways. So uThermal, worth noting, actually has played mech. I totally blew past my mind there. I don't think it's what he's gonna go for. No, not with Stim starting up here in a second too. But yeah, more inclined to play Bio are a lot of these players, and I think there's better results for it too. But mech is something that's become a little bit more popular lately. Even the players who don't typically mech, Innovation, Jockshi, for example, have been playing it from time to time. But it's a nice kind of back pocket build, I feel. But I'm sitting here like I really want to know what Tefel's gonna go for. I mean, right now we see the Roach Warren coming up, and this could very well just be dealing with the earlier Hellions. Something cool worth noting, I don't know if you guys have been watching Polt play, by the way. Like, he's been streaming like mad. Someone rumored that he's streaming right now. But one thing Polt's been doing a lot of, and this, I don't know why no Terran players have thought of this before. He's going for Marauders pretty fast. So there's some like back and forth with Zerg, right? Like, you go with Reapers, okay, how do you counter Reapers? With Speedlings. How do you counter Speedlings? With Hellions. So how do you counter the Hellions? With Roaches! And that's usually where it stops. But Polt said, you know what? let's just start making Marauders. And that's what uThermal's doing here too. Now granted, he did pump out 3 Marines first, so that means he's gonna have 1 less Marauder than normally timed out. But what I've really been enjoying is Pult's been throwing down those Marauders through medevacs. He's been getting those pushes to be a little bit more powerful across the map, and the success he's had with it is phenomenal. And it's such a simple thing that you kind of go like, well, why don't players do this more? And it's always the fear of the Mutalisks, not having anything that shoots up, of course, and lots of other little things, but the timing of this all works out so perfectly. And again, StarCraft 2 is a very, very always evolving, always changing game, one strategy to counter another type thing, and it's funny just to see how long it takes strategies to typically, I guess, leapfrog one another, so to speak. And as for those who are new to the overlay, I see someone asking in chat. There's a glance over for a moment. These skulls are resources lost. So minerals, gas combined. This is the overlay down here. This is of course your income per minute. This is your actions per minute. And these are workers. These are your army value. I don't know. It's game art. It looks nice. It provides a lot of information, which I love. But we got, siege tanks actually coming out of uThermal. So after seeing those roaches, a little bit worried about how many are going to be dedicated into this. But Tefel, he's not really your all-in, make 3 bases roach baneling player. No, he's certainly going to be trying to get those Hydralisks out if and when possible. Did he actually make a Hydralisk den yet? No. So sticking primarily on roaches for the time being. This will last him for the early game very well, quite frankly. Even low amounts of Marines with Stim, yeah, they'll trade out pretty decently with the roaches, but for the most part, if you've got enough roaches, they kind of overpower a lot of Terran forces. As long as you don't sit there and A-move, you gotta kite around a little bit, of course. Use the slow recoil, I guess, reload on those roaches. Anyways, a couple drones gonna get fried here. I'm not sure if I played First Blood, but let's just do it anyways, because that was a mess. Anyways, as these Hellions back away, they get out relatively unscathed. Looks like one of the Reapers did die, but that's about it. I mean, again, like, that was a nice little dive in for uThermal, but it's important he doesn't lose the Hellions. He's have to come back for round 2, and Tefel's actually, gonna turn around and be like, oops, that's awkward. I think these Hellions gonna know their numbers up, though, so they're gonna go in, they'll dive probably for another drone or 2. Tefel probably could have pre-pulled these to make sure nothing happens. There we go, pulls at the last second, so with confidence, precision, and control, he doesn't lose too much here. Of course, does have to send them back mining. There we go. But the Hydralisk den is on the way. And while we do have siege tanks at home, guys, keep in mind, siege tanks only fare well versus Roach Hydra for the first little bit of the game. What's going to end up happening here, and this is kind of your typical 1-2 punch, you'll see a lot of tanks, and a lot of players seem to think tanks are like the end-all be-all to Roach Hydra, and they're a good way to help deal a lot of damage to them. But quite frankly, it's brute force and raw numbers that end up beating Hydralisks. Like, Terran don't have a direct counter. You can make Hellions, I guess, to deal bonus damage versus light, but for the most part, Marauders, you just have to have enough of them layered in there with some siege tanks behind it to get that just perfect amount of damage. But honestly, truthfully, the best way I've seen anyone deal with this is just by making an abundance of medevacs, and I mean like way too many medevacs. This doubles over for 2 different reasons. One, it allows you to just crazy heal your army. If every Marauder has a personal healer, and every Marine, or even half of your Marines, have a personal healer through a medevac, Roaches and Hydralisks, they attack, well, I guess Roaches attack slow, Hydralisks attack quick, but neither of them hit hard enough to really start one-shotting units, especially if they're spread out through a concave, so the medevacs keep your army alive a long time. Also, the worst weakness of this, and we're about to see this in the main here in just a sec, drops are so difficult to respond to for a player who's playing Roach Hydra. You can't simply run back to the main the same way you can with Speedlings and Banelings. These Marines are guaranteed to get a couple good kills here, and even the couple Hydras they're spawning now will not hold this. Tefel is going to have to pull out of this. Focusing on the gas, kind of an interesting choice, knowing that his opponent's going to be relying on gas pretty heavily with these Hydras, but he can only spend so long here, because even medevacs have a hard time getting away from this. The boost is on cooldown right now, guys, so he's going to try and duck out of this, but not going to work. Now, luckily, there's no Mutalisks, so there's nothing to really catch these medevacs. Down here in the very far corner. Actually, whoa! 2 Hydralisks have range for this? Are you kidding me? Oh, that sucks for uThermal. He's going to lose 2 full dropships, and all he got out of it was like 2 drones and 2 extractors. Yikes. But this is okay. This is okay. uThermal loses the drop. He's still down in army value, but defensively he's alright until Tefel gets the hive tech. What starts shutting down the siege tanks are a combination between abducts as well as blinding clouds. Marines, Marauders, as we see, they can dish out a lot of damage. They can take care of Hydralisks fairly quickly. With only 80 HP, Hydralisks are not exactly the most robust units in the game. But spreading out your siege tanks once hive tech is revealed is going to become more and more important as this game goes on. And more importantly than that, he needs to keep, there we go, the buffer for these tanks. He has to keep Marines here. He has to keep Marauders here. If these Hydralisks come in uncontested, well, it's actually coming with a big spread from multiple angles for the swarm! Tefel's gonna attack from multiple angles, but the south side's not strong enough to break through, which means these sides, they'll push on top of the siege tanks, so they may cancel or even kill the third. They shouldn't be able to get this ramp, but never mind. Good game, good job. I thought is he not gonna be confident in his rally? All right, whatever. GG is called. Tefel just had a little too much with Roach Hydra. It takes game number 1 in this best of 3.